honour is a recognition of Norman's work in the energy-efficient business. The serial entrepreneur founded Crowley Carbon in 2010 with the aim of addressing climate change and simultaneously building sustainable companies. Crowley Carbon has established itself as a rapidly scaling global leader in energy and solar services, and Norman predicts that Crowley Carbon will save $1 billion a year in energy and assures that they're well on the way to that goal. We won't give too much away because Norman is going to join us now to say a few words. Welcome, Norman.
How are you all? I have a whole load of notes here because, spoiler alert, I knew this was coming. Yep. First, it's an honor, thanks to Business and Finance for nominating me. It's kind of always humbling to be in a room like this, to be the ESG leader, because like you've heard of all the winners there, and some of them, like thankfully a lot of you are clients of ours, but also some amazing stories. Recognize Stephen McCluskey winning with Mobility Mojo. Like every time Stephen and I meet, I get emotional because the story is so amazing. So yeah, humbling. And I guess the next thing is I turned 52 on Sunday, and as I get to that age, I realize that it isn't, in Cool Planet, it's about the team now, because whatever I can do is tiny compared to what the team does. And so I'm accepting this award on behalf of our team. And I think a lot, as we are lucky enough to get bigger and bigger, you think about like the person stuck trying to get a flight back from Sao Paulo, and the other person stuck in Germany after working 24 hours over there. So you really start to notice like just the lengths people go to in our team to contribute to the success of our company, but also to do this ESG thing. And so it's definitely for them. I guess then talk about the planet a little bit as he scans his note, desperately trying to remember what I was going to say. We believe something that's kind of quite controversial, which is we believe that climate change will be largely solved by about 2030. Now, hear me out on that if you think I'm crazy. We believe something even more specific, which is we believe that all the technologies we need to resolve climate change will exist by 2025. In fact, they almost exist right now. Because one of the things we do is I guess because we've been in business all our lives, we look at this from a business problem and financial problem point of view. So we go, what's the problem? Can we fix it? How much money is it going to take to fix it? Right? And so if you look at climate change that way, because a lot of things get mixed up with climate change, that they are very important things, but they're not specifically to solve climate change. There's three things we need to do to solve climate change. We need to decarbonize energy in factories and buildings, which between them, factories and buildings is about 50% of the problem. We need to decarbonize transport, which shockingly isn't planes. Planes is about 2% of the problem. It's kind of everything else. And then we sadly need to give up meat, or we need to figure out something to do with meat, because meat's about 20% of the problem. And I like a bit of meat, but I assume there's somebody from ABP here. And so they're the things that we need to do, right? And then technologically, we have the answers to almost all of them. So decarbonizing energy, or decarbonizing industrial and commercial is solar, wind, battery, right? It's that simple. And also something that's near and dear to our hearts, energy efficiency. So according to Lawrence Livermore University, who I assume know more than me, we waste 70% of all the primary energy we dig out of the ground. So basically we dig it out of the ground and then we piss it away. Yeah. To give you an idea, your car wastes 98% of the energy that it uses and 2% of the energy it uses to move you. So that's how crazy the world is. So efficiency, solar wind battery, that gets you decarbonizing industry and commercial buildings. Then we need to do transport, which is electric with a bit of hydrogen. And then meat is the one that's not quite there yet. And meat, we've got crazy technologies that are coming right now. So cellular agriculture. I was in the University of Bath recently looking at and not tasting a burger that was made by taking cells from an animal, putting them into a stainless steel bioreactor, and then creating a burger from one cell to, I assume, millions of cells. The mistake I made when I was looking at this burger was I said, what kind of meat is this? And they smiled sweetly at me and said, it's a mouse. Yeah. But it was only one cell from the mouse, and the mouse is still alive, so we're all good. But that technology won't be fully there economically until about 2025, but it's coming at a ferocious rate. So by 2025, solar, wind, battery, electric, hydrogen, and then mouse cells, more than likely beef cells and chicken cells at that point. So we have the technology. So I was saying this recently at a conference, and my wife was at the conference, and she said to me, you know, that's great, but we have the food, we have enough food in the world now to solve global hunger, but some of us eat a little bit too much of it, that's me, and in other places in the world they don't have any of it. So if we've got a lot of tech in the developed world, what good is that if we can't get that everywhere? Or, you know, I was in the States for the last couple of weeks, and I rented a car, and I thought it was a joke. Like, the car was like a 5-liter thing, ridiculous looking thing. And so some parts of the world operate in one way, and other parts of the world can't operate that way. So this revolution of ours is not evenly spread. But then, if we have all that technology by 2025, what's the problem, right? And really, when I think about it, and you know, when you look at the award winners here today, and you see, we know, thankfully, a lot of the projects that went into this today, like the serious work done. We signed a contract about a week ago, the team did, with a drinks company in Tipperary, to reduce their carbon with one single project by 50%, right? So we can do this, right? So what's the problem? And when I look at Ireland, I think a lot of the problem is sadly, and I don't want to be the one to blame it, but our government is a problem, right? At the moment, we've got a green government, we've got plenty of money, right? And you might say, well, we don't have money, but the bad news is we're in the top 10 richest countries in the world. So if we don't have money now, we'll never have it, right? And we can't seem to get out of our own way. You know, off the west coast of Ireland, we've got the biggest deposit of energy in the world in the form of wind. We could be the next Saudi Arabia in terms of wealth. And we've got 2 people drafting legislation about green stuff in government, you know. Like, that just makes no sense to me whatsoever, you know, that we would sit on this and waste it, you know. Our population is so excited about electric cars that this year 6% of our cars are electric. It's growing, probably double that next year if we can get them. And you can't charge a car for love nor money anywhere. We see people around all the time, like homeless people traveling, trying to charge a car outside of Lidl, outside of Tesco's. It's like a third world country. And almost every part of what we're trying to achieve, we're not doing enough, right? And we're not moving fast enough. And if we were having this conversation in a developing country, we'd have plenty of excuses, but we have absolutely no excuse, right? We have all the time, we have all the money, we have all the resources, right? Yeah, we don't have oil. We have a small bit in Barry Row, but we don't really have like Saudi, but we've got everything needed for the modern economy. We just need to urgently get out of our own way. Yeah? And you know, when you hear the news, like yesterday you open the FT and you see the G7 conference last weekend, big slide on climate because everyone's decommitting to climate. And then you read Britain is pulling back from stuff. We're missing every target that Europe can throw in front of us. And you do start to lose hope, right? And get frustrated by that. But when you look around this room, what you see is you see everything from, you know, Mobility Mojo doing this incredible social good, working with hotels around the world. You see biodiversity projects in Carberry and all the other ones. You see big decarbonization in Dairygold. Like, everyone is moving, you know. Our business is mainly sold out, thank God, most of the time. And so there is a lot of hope. And when we look at it, we go, you know, 10 years' time, if you follow the EV curve, most cars will be electric, which means most cities will be quiet, you know. If you follow other curves in building, like super insulated houses being built that have practically no running cost, you know, a lot of us in the room wished we lived in those. So you have this, like, you know, I know it's hard to imagine it right now with energy prices, but with more and more renewables, energy prices will drop, and that's just, you can't avoid that, that's just economics. So we are looking at this incredibly, incredibly bright future, actually. And then that's on the climate change side. And then with all the ESG conversations, it's all around, hey, you know, let's be fair about who we're hiring, let's be balanced about all that. Like, so this ESG thing, it gets criticized a little bit, and there was some criticism recently about how Tesla got kicked off the ESG list. But actually, when you look at what's trying to be achieved across it, it's a fairer society, more balanced, more in favor of people who, you know, we were ignoring for far too long, working on climate change, and then working on getting more balance into all of this stuff. And so this room is humbling from that point of view, because that's the work you're doing. But we need to move faster, right? So everybody here, if we're going to get this done and we're going to try and save a lot of lives in the process around the world, then we need to go 4 times quicker than we are now. We have a phrase in our business, and if you'll excuse my French, we say DOTF, yeah, and it stands for drive on to. And so when we feel we're not moving fast enough, we just look at that, and that's what we need to do. And no point in whinging about how government should be doing more, or so-and-so should be doing more, or some company is a disgrace. Just DOTF, let's get it done. So thanks for listening to me. Good luck.